Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you so much, Ma, for pouring out your heart and, stating the challenges that the educational sector is facing. Thank you so much, Ma, for sharing with us. I was actually also going to correct that the appointment as CEO of Lead, you became the Honorable Commissioner for Education. But thank you very much, Ma, for also correcting us on that. We take to correction. Thank you so much, Ma. Some of the points that the Honorable Commissioner mentions that there is a need to reimagine education in relation to the power of technology, which has made education more flexible. And another thing she said was that we need to stop thinking about education in terms of the four walls of a building alone. And on that point, I would usher us into the very first. This is Remy Odusi would introduce to you our guest, who is a phenomenal individual when it comes to teaching outside the four walls of a building. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be straight into our very first fire.
Thank you, Olamide. Thank you once again. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I believe you just spoke about a dear friend of ours, Mr. Oduwole. Thank you. I don't know. Yes, I think I can see you right there. Yes, thank you so much, Honorable Commissioner. I think you couldn't have said it any better. The fact that, we don't have a choice, pandemic actually showed us that we have no choice but to reimagine our education, the system, everything about education we need to think about and find a way to make us more competitive, make us more relevant on the global scale. So, well, and I agree with you, Ma, we can't go fully online because some people cannot even afford to do that simply because they don't have the means or they don't have the time. So I believe that we have to find a kind of hybrid on what suits a particular child, because we can't have a one-size-fits-all for all our children. So thank you very much, Ma, for recognizing that. And you said something that I was like, I just smiled when you said it, Ma. You said, I'm not experienced with homeschooling, even though I've seen some people homeschooled and it came out very well, etiquette, good manners and all that. And so thank you so much for saying that, Ma, because our next guest is someone that will tell us how he did it. We had a conversation a couple of weeks ago, and we're just talking about everything that's gone on with the pandemic and all that. And I said to him, Ademola, how come, what happened? How did you guys get to know that, 1 or 2 decades down the line, people will want to, homeschool? How did you do that? And not only were you able to homeschool, you homeschooled an icon, a teenage icon. And I believe you're still, homeschooling now, Ademola. Please just make welcome Mr. Ademola Oduwole, a very good friend, the father of Zuriel Oduwole. Zuriel Oduwole, as we know, is a teenage icon. I can't count the number of presidents that, she's interviewed. Stop shaking your heads. Yes.
Because it's too much.
Where's Patricia? Because both of you actually did a wonderful job, not only on Zuriel, but on brothers and your brother and our sisters. So you're welcome. Thank you for this, for coming on. Thank you for accepting our invitation. I know that you are, kind of low-playing person. You don't want to be seen out there. You go to everywhere with Zuriel, but you are kind of in the background. So this time around, sorry, you can't be in the background. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. Good afternoon. Good evening to you all. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Oduwole. First of all, the young lady who says she's a lawyer and she's saying there's someone who's phenomenal coming on. I have no idea what book she's reading. What they're talking about. How can you listen? How can the loudspeaker take credit when there's someone on the mic talking. So I didn't do anything at all. There's a guy on the mic talking. I'm just a loudspeaker, seriously. Or how can a mannequin take credit for people coming into the store? The mannequin is just a dummy. You put the clothing on and people come into the store. So I take zero credit. So I need to lay that out there. Anyway, Remy, you asked a phenomenal question. You said, how did we know that, you know, a decade and a half later, people are going to do? And I always say to people, I got to ask this question. When did Noah build the ark? Noah built the ark before the rains, not after the rains, before the rains. But then who told Noah to build the ark? That's the question you should ask. Not so much, what do I know? Who told Noah to build the ark? And that's where listening comes in. So let me step back. What I'm going to say is probably not what most of you expecting, you know, talk about homeschool, why is good. I'll come to that. I'm going to step back and say, first of all, you have to find your purpose. Seriously. Before even homeschool, you got to find out, what is my purpose? Why am I part of the 7.9 billion people running around this earth? You got to have a purpose. Otherwise, you just like a sheep, you know, sheep and land. So you have to have a purpose. When you find that purpose, it becomes, okay, now I know my purpose. How do I get there? Now, so most of us got to go back to, wait. Really, what's my purpose? If you can answer that, it becomes, how do I get there? Coming to our children, you said we've raised phenomenal children. Again, I'm going to go back to purpose. Most of us here are parents. Some are probably not yet. A couple of us are quite young. Some are single. That's for a different issue and another day, a different debate. But for those of us who are parents, the moment you know that you're parents, next thing is, you know, you get married, you will have children, which means you've begun to understand your purpose. You know, I didn't say, but somebody once said, be fruitful and multiply. So he's already given an instruction. So you just cannot be fruitful and multiply with that purpose, which means for me, when I was about to get married, I said, okay, this is a deal. I know I better get married so my parents are not disappointed. So I had to get married. But I knew the next thing is children were coming. I said, this is a deal. I'm not going to raise these children because I'm not going to make them. You who was said be fruitful and multiply, you're going to raise these children. So I am purposing myself to stand in the path of where you will lead me to raise these children. In other words, from the very beginning, I give everything to he who's on the microphone, not he who's on the speaker. In other words, he who made the heavens and the earth. That's how I started. I'm going to give you everything. Because if I do myself, I'll mess it up. And so I waited for that instruction. I said, this is a deal. Every child you give to us must be the head and not the tail. I began to tell him, this is a deal. Because see, I'm not going to make him, you're going to get. And so if they're going to be the head and not the tail, I need to put them in the place where I know they have got to be the head and not the tail. Let me digress for about 10 seconds. There's a gentleman who worked in a factory, you know, in auto plants in Michigan. Guy didn't go to college, you know, barely high school dropout, but he worked with his hands, worked in a factory, worked shift, came home one night, flicking through the TV channel. He was tired. He had worked shifts. And he saw this tennis thing going on. And he was like, what's this nonsense, you know? And in the end, he just saw, oh, and the winner is some little girl. And they said, and she gets a check for $30,000 for winning. And he said, what? He said, no, time out. He's thinking, I'm a grown man. I work 3 shifts and I get $40,000 on change per annum. This little girl hit this little ball back and forth and gets $25,000 to $30,000. Right then he knew, I'm in the wrong business. Wrong purpose, wrong thing, ripped everything else, said, that's it, I'm done. We have girls, they're gonna play tennis. Guess who that was? Richard Williams. Who were his daughters? Venus and Serena Williams. What did he do? He reimagined his purpose. He didn't go back to school because he was too old. He didn't want to go to college, but he figured out, this is not my purpose. So some of us right now, we're in lanes, we're in buses, we're in trains, where it's not ours. But we're staying there because it's comfortable, it's convenient, we didn't have a choice. So you got to go back and figure your purpose. Know your purpose first. Once you figure your purpose, then you say, okay, now I know my purpose. How do I get there? Once we realized what our purpose was and the purpose of our children was, we knew that we just could not put them in regular schools. Because in regular schools, you're not in control. Let me step back. This is a disclaimer. Please, I am not saying anything against regular school. I went to a regular school. That's where my parents put me. I was happy in a regular school. But there's some choices you make by yourself, for yourself, not on behalf of the whole world. You make those choices yourself. So that's a disclaimer. So before someone says, he said, no, I'm not saying anything about regular school. But the choices we make in life. So our choice was, if we know that this is the purpose for children, we do not believe the regular school is the place to get them to their destination. And so based on value, spiritual value, cultural value, social value, evolving value, we figured out we cannot put them in regular school. So the only option was homeschooling, which means we will see what they see. We will hear what they hear. We will learn what they learn. In other words, we were not going to give their destiny to one or two people who we do not know who they are or what God they worship, to begin to pour into our children who have purpose and who have destiny in their hands. So that was our decision. Again, that was our personal decision. It has nothing to do with yours. And so once we made that decision, it means we're going to go down this tunnel, and it doesn't matter what anyone says, we will stick to it. Because guess what? All our friends, all the people in the total, wait, you're going to do what? Homeschool? What is a homeschool? You don't have, they gave us 99 reasons.
Exactly.
We had only one reason to do it. Purpose, focus, vision. They gave us 99 reasons not to do it. We just found one reason. What did he say? If you have 100 and one goes missing, do you not leave the 99 and go look for that one? Even he, that ratio. So we were cool with it. Again, purpose. You have to hear and know your own purpose. See, this is why purpose is important. People try to copy other people and what they did. No. Find your purpose. Even Cinderella and her three ugly sisters couldn't get their feet into the shoes because it was only her shoe. It was her shoe to fit into. Her sisters couldn't get a fit into it, which means each one of us has a purpose that cannot be duplicated. Otherwise, if they just kind of put us in a factory, we're born at different days, different time, different culture, different places. Each one has a purpose. But most of us do not look for a purpose because we're comfortable where we are, or it's confused, or we didn't know about it. So
thank you.
That is why we started. No, that's why we started.
Okay.
That's how we started homeschooling. I know it's going to be a question, but I'm ready to take them.
Thank you so much, Ademola. I'm going to take two questions together. The first one is, Zuriel is on the international, landscape, if we want to put it like that. In what ways do you think homeschooling benefited her, as in Zuriel, considering that she's an icon? Or do you suppose she's just a kind of outlier, case? And the second question that I'm going to wrap into that is, how much did it cost you actually? Not really quantitatively. I want to know, emotionally, financially a bit, compared to, you going to regular school.
Okay, let me correct you. Right, Zura is not an icon. Okay, she's just a child that lives in my house.
Okay,
she
fine.
Chores,
corrected.
Grounded,
still our Zuriel. Okay, just our Zuriel. Okay, that's
there you
fine.
go. Okay, so that child that lives in my house, that's someone that lives in my house. How did homeschooling? It was the flexibility, because remember, we figured this child had purpose. And one of the things she does is she talks about girls' education a lot. Again, how did she start? We realized we have purpose. Those children were key children of destiny. Once you know that, see, he says, listen, you will hear my voice say, turn to the left and turn to the right. Again, we started everything by giving it to him. So we had to walk by listening to him. And so we said to our kids, listen, once a day, you all have to watch this for an hour. I don't care what channel. Well, you got to find the problem in the world. You got to come back and tell us, hey, if I were president, this is how I'll fix it. So you can do any kind of give me one, but 1 hour each day, you got to watch a news network, find all the problems and say, if I were president, this is how I'll fix it. So it began to push their hard drive. Tell them you have to think differently. Your purpose for greatness, you have to begin to do that. That was our role as the parents, to shepherd and to shepherd them, to guide and to guard. Guide means turn left or turn right. God means what you hear, I've got to filter it. What you see, I've got to filter it. Purpose. And so homeschooling allowed flexibility. So within the homeschool curriculum, she could learn quicker and faster. Give it a similar scenario here in the United States. He gets up at 7:30, does breakfast by 8 o'clock, hops in the school bus, goes to school. Between when they get downstairs and go to school and get to class, an hour, 10 minutes is gone. In that time, Zuriel just comes downstairs, open the computer, boom, she's got an hour and 10 minutes of work done already. So kids get to school, do class 1, go between the hallway, class number 2, class number 3, go for lunch break, come back, class number 4, go for play. By the time they're done, they hop back on the school bus, come home. In between that, there's 3 hours they've spent on the road. Zuriel has spent 3 hours in a class going ahead. When you compound that in 1 month, she's gone ahead already on the school curriculum. So she pulls aside and takes a break. While all the kids are still doing the same thing, go to school Monday, come back. She's built about a week and a half of credit time, so she does her extracurricular activities. So in that time, she's still at school, but not like every other kid is doing. Why? She has purpose. So now she's researching, what do I want to do? I want to talk to this person about this particular issue. So she writes his office. They engage. While school is going on traditionally, she's homeschooled, she's moved on ahead. So the biggest thing that it had for her was flexibility. Also, she travels and speaks. She goes and speaks to the UN, speaks to UNESCO in Paris, does these things. If she was in regular school, there's no way I can go over there and say, oh, Miss Teacher, can I take 4 days off? Why? She has to go speak to the UN. Okay, oh, Miss Teacher, can I take we can't do that. So the homeschool gave us all the flexibility for her to still be at school, but then have the time to do her extracurricular activities. That's what homeschool did. In terms of what did it cost? First of all, half of our friends that were lost their mind. So we lost those friends. That's social cost. In terms of emotional and stuff, this is what a homeschooling did for us. Because she was advancing what she was doing, she was growing mentally and exponentially, which meant she was saying, I need to do this project. I need to do that project. And because she was growing, we knew we could not hold her back. We could not be the ones to hold her back. Our role was to push her up. My wife and I had a discussion and said, listen, the way this child is going, she's going to need help with her projects. One of us has to quit our jobs and travel with her on her projects. That's where it began to cost us, which means we went from dual income to single income, which means one of us quit our jobs to travel with Zuriel to can go wherever she does. That person happened to be me. The reason being, if she has to travel to all these countries and stay in hotels and meet all these people, I didn't think it was safe enough for just this lady and a young girl to be on the road. So I figured out, okay, I'll make the sacrifice, let it be a gentleman and a young girl in the road, because there's nowhere in God's beautiful earth we're going to give my daughter to a stranger to travel around the whole place. The world has changed. And so that's how it began to cost us, which means we have to slash a bunch of things. Seriously, sold my car, built a cash reserve, moved from a bigger house to a smaller house. We cut back. Why? To sacrifice. Why? For this girl who we believe had purpose. So those are choices we made. Please, I'm not telling you guys to quit your job. I'm not telling you to go sell your. That's what we did before the guy said, oh, the man asked me to. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm saying that's what worked for us. But why? Because we heard and we knew we had purpose and we were walking in that purpose. So in other words, he made a way. It was tough initially. It was rough. People didn't understand. Even my dad, hi dad, he's 86 years old. Even my dad said, you're going to quit your job and your wife is going to work. He couldn't understand that. My dad's a physician. It didn't make sense to him. But again, that was our call. That was our choice. So those are the things that it cost us. It cost us those things. But boy, am I glad I didn't listen, because if I had listened, I'd probably have a discussion today. One last thing. Many of our friends, probably 85 to 90% of the same friends who said to us back then, 15 years ago, what does it matter with you? In the last year and a half, they've all said to me, hey, come talk to me about a homeschool thing. You know that homeschool thing 15 years ago? How did you guys do it again? What if the kids say they're hungry? The same people in the same way. Joseph went ahead, paid the price. Why? So when the famine came, his brothers came, and why? He was the one that provided for. I'm just sharing these things as it comes. I don't have the answers, but he does.
Thank you. Thank you, Ademola. Of course, I know you are not an educator, so I know someone is asking what qualifications did you need to teach your child? Did you have to take training, to homeschool them?
No, I'm a parent. See, moment you're a parent, that's it. You many things. You're head of security. You're the social prefect. You're the provider. You're all those things because you're a parent. As long as you can read, and most of us went to school, we understand the difference. We might not have been trained on how to deliver, but you're the parent. Listen, when a child comes home and they're hungry, they don't call the teacher and say, oh, Miss Teacher, can I get something to eat? They talk to you. When one of your siblings talks to the other sibling, they didn't call the teacher. They talk to you. In other words, you're the first person they see. You are the natural teacher. You're the biological teacher. You're the social teacher. The ones in the building, they're just a curriculum teacher. They're not supposed to teach them manners. You're supposed to. They're not to teach them about faith. You are supposed to. They're not supposed to raise them. You are supposed to. All they're meant to do is curriculum administration. That's their role. Because guess what? If that child goes out and wins an Oscar, it doesn't come to the teacher. It comes to you. If that same child goes and commits a crime, it doesn't go to the teacher. It comes to you. So how can you abdicate and say the teacher is supposed to raise them? The teacher's role is simply guidance in curriculum administration. You as the parent are the true, real teacher.
Okay, thank you so much, Ademola. Okay, I'm just wondering, can a parent homeschool until the child enters college, or as we know it in Nigeria, university? How easy is it for a child to be admitted to, to a post-secondary school? That's what we use here,
Right.
Or high school as you use it over there,
Right.
after being homeschooled. Is it going to be a problem? How does it work? Is there a smooth handshake from being
And over a transfer?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So listen, homeschool doesn't mean you lock the school system and then you have the kids watch TV or you teach them what. No. There's a curriculum. See, the homeschool has to work according to a state curriculum. This is how it works in many states. For instance, that's how it does in California. Twice a year, you've got to take state exams, and your child has got to pass those state exams. As long as they pass, it means they're meeting the minimum standard requirement by the state. So you're fulfilling the state requirement, because in this country, your kids got to go to school. Otherwise, they throw you in jail. No, you have to send them to school. You can't do that. I'm not going to school. You can say I'm going to homeschool, but they'll give a curriculum saying this is a curriculum. As long as once a year they're testing well, you're good to go. So that's what we subscribe to.
Okay.
Curriculum. So you follow that curriculum. In the case of Zuriel, yeah, she was homeschooled till she went to university, all the way through to university. If it was up to my wife, we were homeschooling university because she's concerned about what they hear and what they're learning. So to answer the question, yes, that's right. In terms of transition, they take the same the SATs and all this thing. They take the same exams too. Remember, homeschool simply means you control the environment in which they're learning and how they're learning. That's all homeschool is. You follow the same laid-down curriculum. You have to pass that. Now, outside of that, they can take their own extracurricular activities, which is phenomenal. But you've got to meet the basic minimum required testing standard for the state or the country where you are. So yes, we homeschooled her all the way through to university. She's in university now. She's doing well, thank God. So should they do well? It's an easy transition. Listen, when you apply to go to college, you don't have to tell them you're homeschooled. You show your SAT test, you show you all the tests. That's all you need to do. And you show your transcript. They don't ask you where you homeschool or where you homeschool in a cave. They don't ask you that. Where's your SAT? Do you meet the minimum standard? Welcome to college. So yeah. So it's a great discussion here because people have a lot of misconception about homeschool, thinking, okay, they're in the house, or they won't know how to write. Listen, the first time your child held a pencil was not in school, it was at home. She took your lipstick and drew all over the wall and you pulled her ear. That's the first time they learn to write. Listen, people, school, I'm telling you, is simply about curriculum administration. You, the parent, as far as I'm concerned, and you work for us, you're the #1 teacher. The first word your child mentioned, they didn't hear from a teacher. They heard from you. Dada, mama. That wasn't a teacher. So how can you, after age 2, 3, say, oh, I've been doing a great job. Now let me hand over to the state system. Again, I'm not saying anything against the state system. I'm just saying that's my understanding of the reason why we homeschool. We simply wanted to control the values, the cultural values, the emotional values, the social values. We wanted to control what they heard. Because why? I was guiding and guarding because I understood that they had purpose. That was my choice. Again, disclaimer, my choice, our choice, how we did it.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm just going to take 1 or 2 questions from the audience, but before I do that, because I've seen that, the same question is wrapped around this. I'm looking at the questions that's been asked, and another one someone just asked that again. How do you balance homeschool with your child's social life? And a lot of people I've spoken to so far on this, they've been worried about, socialization, how do you get your child to be able to talk to other people. Like you said, I think it's about misconception. You just feel that the child is locked up, does not interact with anybody. We feel that, you have to be in a school environment to play football, to do that. Now, how were you able to blend all this? Because actually it's quite important, actually.
Interesting question, but listen, guys, you have to understand what this life is. Seriously. Give example. If there's someone who's a recluse and they call you a geek, and then there were thick glasses in school, and then they having a friend, couldn't play any sport, just carried physics books here and there and did all those things. If that's all they did and had no friend, if that person one day won the lottery and had a lot of money, guess what? All the same people that call them geeks will go line up on his door and say, hey, remember me? Which means not about socialization, it's what people want from you. So don't worry about socialization. That's just the big word I gave it. Now, to answer this question that you asked, it's simple. Even with homeschool, they have what I call support groups. So they have field trips. You meet all the kids who are homeschooled. You have science lab. All the kids who are homeschooled. Zuriel, when she was growing up, all her siblings, Zuriel played basketball, played soccer, league. She was in the travel league. She's good at soccer, good at basketball while homeschooled. She had church friends, kids in the neighborhood. Homeschool doesn't mean to put you in jail somewhere on the island. No, it means you're a regular kid. The same thing every other kid does. You go to church, the kids your age. Neighborhood, rider bikes, kids your age. Basketball league, kids your age. Soccer league, kids your age. Parties, kids your age. Everything is normal. Nothing has changed. Except a morning at 9 o'clock, instead of running down to hop on the yellow bus, she comes downstairs, opens the computer, boom, school start. That's the only difference. So socialization, not an issue. Not at all. This is a kid who has spoken to 48,900 children in 18 countries about school. If she has social issues, how is she supposed to talk to them? So again, understand, all the thing about social thing is people are afraid of what they don't know, and people don't like what they're afraid of. Let me say it again. People are afraid of what they do not know, and people do not like what they're afraid of. So people don't know about homeschool, so they're afraid of it. And people don't like, homeschool, I don't want to hear it. Homeschool, I don't want to hear it. That's what, because they don't know it and they're afraid of it. It's a phobia. But once they understand, that's it. I wish I knew. I know, we all wish I knew. I know. And so hopefully with this program and many like it, we're educating people and advising people and making people aware of the huge benefits of homeschool. Like I said, people gave us 99 reasons not to do it. We'll find one to do it. And I'm glad we're stuck to that one to do it.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to have to ask this because, don't you think, Remy, despite everything I've said so far, why are you asking this? But I have to ask it.
Ask God.
Would you recommend homeschooling?
It's like someone saying to someone, marriage works for me. Would you recommend marriage? And someone says, marriage did not work for them. The third marriage, I wouldn't recommend it. See, again, it's a choice thing. But rather than recommend, I would say for people, you need to be aware that there's options. These options exist. So someone says, how's my child supposed to do science? Or how's my child supposed to attend robotics class when they have to go to school and do homework? That's where you got to make those choices. There are options. But how's my child supposed to do those things? You have options. See, in the culture that we all grew up in, our parents didn't have options. It was regimental. You finish kindergarten, you go to the school, you do your 5, you go to the school, your A-levels, college, boom. It was all regimental. These options were almost taboos. So now we're saying, listen, hence when you say reimagine education, we should reimagine education. Because we can have another discussion about the difference between schooling and education. You can be educated without going to school, but if you go to school, you are being educated. And so a lot of ways to look at this thing, but I think the biggest thing is the awareness. Let people, make them aware that, listen, there are choices out there. There are options out there, because once you go past a certain stage in your scholastic system, it's tough to go back because of social norms. Imagine an 18-year-old person in Form 1, because they think you're too old for it. And so while they're all at the right age, let's give them all the options. So they have no excuse saying, I wish I knew. I wish I had that option. So rather than say what I recommended, it's important to let people be aware that that option is there. It worked well for us. I think there are huge and immense benefits, but then they have to choose themselves. A kid said, I'm hungry. I said, okay, here's the refrigerator, but I'm not going to tell you what to choose from the refrigerator. You're the one who's hungry. You know what you want. Is it water? Is it a cookie? Is it a sausage? But here's the refrigerator. You choose what you want. That's what we're doing here. But I said, here's homeschooling. You have that option. You can say, you know what, homeschooling, I don't want to hear about it. I'm happy where I am. But then there's cost and there's opportunity cost to everything. If you lock yourself in a hole, that's all you see. Let me end by saying this. If you're in a room and you can see the sunlight, it doesn't mean you can feel the heat. You have to step out of the house and be in the presence of the sunlight to feel the heat. Because you're in the house, you can see the sun, doesn't mean the sun can see you. So most of us think, oh, I can see the sun, I'm good. The sun cannot see you. So you're missing out on all the benefits and the vitamins that the sun gives to you. So step out of your comfort zone, get in front of the sun, get all the benefits. That we have no excuses in life.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, talking about stepping out of your comfort zone, I'm just going to take two questions from the audience. There's one that says that, how do you teach core subjects you don't have a basic knowledge of? That's number one. The second question I would like you to answer, and then we'll be wrapping it up, is please, I would like to know steps to step processes to homeschool, the challenge encountered, and how he said how he overcame them, but how did you overcome the challenges that you had, homeschooling? So those are the two questions that we're going to take from the audience. The first one is about stepping out of
Cost
your
subject.
So, so apt. Yes. Okay.
Listen, that's an incredible question. Not me, but someone said, how can you embark on a journey without first counting the cost of it? How can you say I'm going to build a house without checking and say, oh, I can't even afford a house and build it? So before you embark on homeschool, you figure out this is what homeschool means. Homeschool means I have to do this, I have to give this up, I have to learn about this. So before you pull the trigger, you know yourself. You know your strengths, you know your weaknesses. In my house, we're balanced. I take certain course subjects, my wife takes the other course subjects. So I don't do everything. So you have to know what your strengths and your weaknesses are. You count the cost before you embark on the journey. And then you know, I've looked at everything. It's 5 out of 4. I can scrape, but I think I still want to do it. You got to make that call, but you've got to count the cost first before you embark upon it. The cost subjects I didn't have, I had to go dig in and research them hard because I had pulled the trigger. The rest, my wife did them. So we find a way to balance things. But ask yourself, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Listen, there's always a way. Really, there is. If you really want to do something, there's nothing anyone can do to stop you unless you really did not want to do, in which case, this thing is hard. No, but if you want to do it, you get it done. Like anything else, if you work hard, the job is easy. If you work easy, the job is hard. All your calls and tell up to you. The second thing, what are the challenges we face? It was new initially. Some of the things are, for instance, you did the homeschool and the kid says, I'm hungry. Now, when they say I'm hungry, they no longer see teacher. They see mom or dad. So they're thinking, I can just go to the refrigerator and get a glass of juice. But you're thinking this, discipline. You can't go yet. And then they switch to, but mom or but dad, I'm hungry. Once you use the word dad, you know your hat changes from teacher to parent. So you have to learn to balance those things because sometimes kids think, so once I say dad, it works. But I can't go to school and say the same thing. So it's finding a balance of how to know when to switch from parents to teacher. Those are some of the challenges that we face. Apart from that, there was not a lot because we knew we wanted to do this. We were ready to do this. Again, like I say, if you really want to do something, you always find a way. You find a way around things, you find a way to make things work. So that's what comes to mind right away, such as what are some of the challenges. Others could be, even you as a parent, sometimes you might think, I'm leaning a bit too hard. When you say, well, you should know this. You're thinking, okay, am I the parent or am I the teacher? And when the child is struggling, asking, do I give him a break now? But you're thinking, but I'm the parent. You should know this. So you pour yourself into it. It's finding out how to flick the switch from parents to teacher. Those are some of the things that I went through or some of the challenges that I had. But otherwise, like I said, because we believe it was purpose, it was a choice, it was a decision. We had counted the cost of this before embarking upon it. And hey, he made a way. So those would be my answers to that question.
Okay, thank you so much, Ademola. There are so many other questions, but I believe that in the course of today, we'll be able to answer. I just saw one, I think quite get it, because it was like something talking about your environment. I guess the person was trying to say that, do you think your environment actually helped? You know, I mean, you know what we're facing in Nigeria. So just, if you can just quickly tell us if—
So I'm guessing environment, you probably mean being here in the United States.
In the United States, yes.
Okay, probably, without a doubt. I mean, it does help. But see, again, your environment matters a lot. But even despite that, there are people who in a harsh environment, they still find ways to do things to make things happen. I read in the magazine a couple of weeks ago, kids somewhere in rural Kenya got admission to 5 Ivy League schools in the United States. She grew up in rural Kenya, no electricity, but she got admission to 5 Ivy League schools. A bunch of kids in this country didn't even get one state university. So here's environment, opportunities are there, but there are people who have opportunities and still do not take them. This girl in rural Kenya has 0 opportunities, but she fought hard, so she got admission to 5 Ivy League universities. So yes, environment matters, but it cannot be an excuse. Environment matters, but it cannot be an excuse.
Thank you very much. I'm seeing a lot of comments here. Olabode Okoyebi is saying education, as you said, rests on curriculum management. This places responsibility of proper curated knowledge on someone, either the parents as they pay or they pay someone to do. Does this not point them to why traditional schools exist? We're going to answer all that in the next we have 1 or 2 fireside chats coming up, and we have a panel session that's going to talk about, you know, education, the curricula that we have in Nigeria and all over the world, and how to, you know, get the best out of everything. So thank you so much. My love to Zuriel, to Patricia. Actually, Patricia is maybe, if we have to do it, 70-30.
No,
Yeah,
I'll make
to
it
Patricia,
9-9-1.
right?
I'll
Right?
give a 9-9. I'm just a 1%. I just show up.
Okay, you gave up your job, so we'll give you 60, 40.
I take a 1. She
Thank
takes a 9.
you so much. Thank you for coming.
Truly an honor.
And morning over there. So thank you.
And thanks for putting this program together. Thank you for doing this project. Thank you.
You were the one that started it, and I'm really glad we did. Thank you so much. Take care. Olamide, over to you.
I am right here, Ma, and I must say that was very educating. That was very enlightening. In fact, you know what? I think this is the point where we all need to take a glass of water. So if you have some form of water beside you, you need it. You actually do need it. So please, let's just take something. Because it was, for me, it was an eye-opener. Okay, I saw things from a very different perspective. I saw things from a very different angle. And you know, one of the things he said, one of the things he mentioned is that you need to, okay, he started with, when did Noah build the ark? Okay, and then he talked about the importance of listening, okay, knowing your purpose, understanding your purpose. He mentioned that, you know, after getting married, one of the things he told himself and discussed with his wife is the fact that God, these children would be the head and not the tail. And, you know, they started thinking about ways to actually achieve that. He mentioned the challenges that they faced, how that people told them, you must be out of your mind, you know, but they still went ahead. They lost friends along the way, but they still went ahead. You know what? In the chat box, do us a favor and write down what really touched you, what really got to you, what really got you thinking, what really, you know, what your light bulb moments. Please go ahead in the chat box and type in your light bulb moments. I think one of my light bulb moments is the fact that he said you need to be aware that there are options. You need to be aware that there are options. That just did it for me. That did it for me. And then also the fact that there is always a way. There is always a way. So we're seeing someone who had no access to electricity yet, she's getting scholarships. And there are other people who have access to all the electricity yet, it's not the same for them. So there is always a way. If you're always looking at your challenges, if you're always looking at the difficulties, then you are missing out, because there is always a way. And you need to be aware that there are options. So people are actually writing out their light bulb moments. Thank you so much. Remy Lakun says that I think my light bulb moment was when he spoke about knowing purpose first before proceeding. Yes, Remy Lakun, that is very important. Knowing purpose first before proceeding. So Grace Peter says that, yeah, oh wow, beautiful. Yes, Ayoluwa Ogunde pardon me, when they say it will cost you. Whatever decision you make, at the end of the day, it will cost you. And then at this point, he mentioned that you don't want to embark on a journey and really not count the cost. This is amazing. This is amazing. In the chat box, can you please just thank Mr. Oduwole? Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for not holding back. Thank you for walking us through the process. Thank you for letting us know the challenges, the benefits, and the sacrifices involved in homeschooling. Thank you so much. We sincerely appreciate. And with that, we'll be moving on to our first panel session. Okay, and we'll be having a breakout session for this. Okay, we'll be having 3 panels running simultaneously. The first panel, topic for the first panel session is pandemic challenges, education, quality and quantity gaps, and the way forward. Education, quality and quantity gaps, and the way forward. And the moderator for this panel session is Mrs. Yinka Owairu, who is the CEO of Let Institute and MD of ST Schools. Okay, she is a seasoned administrator and educationist with over 20 years experience in various capacities as a key decision maker, policy maker, and stakeholder with a very high level of credibility and experience in managing large-scale projects. Mrs. Yinka Owairu would be the moderator for the first panel session, and the topic for the first panel session is pandemic challenges, education, quality and quantity gaps, and the way forward. The second panel session is educating the total child in a digital age, competences, challenges, and possibilities. Educating the total child in a digital age, competences, challenges, and possibilities. And the moderator for the session is Mrs. Oyenike Adeleke, who is the CEO of Market Link Global Resources, and she has delved into marketing and consulting, having garnered enough experience from working for over 10 years, following our passion of contributing our quota to the economic development of Africa. Mrs. Oyenike Adeleke would be the moderator for the second panel session. All right, and the third panel session, which is, like I mentioned earlier, is going to be a breakout session. The topic is alternative education, learning spaces, education technology, and new methods of education. One of the new methods of education, which is not really new, but it's not something that we're used to, is what Mr. Oduwole just talked to us about. All right, and to handle this session, the moderator for this session is Mr. Jesu Damilare Adeshegun David, who is the co-founder of Innovate Lab, a social enterprise promoting a community innovation hubs approach to positioning Africa for relevance in global digital and economic knowledge. So there you have it, our different moderators and topics for the panel session. So on your screen, whether you're using your laptop or a mobile device, for a mobile device, you will see an icon, okay, that says breakout room. All right, if you click on that, it will take you to any of the rooms that you would like to go to. So if you want to attend the first panel session, just go ahead and click on the first. Rather, if you want to attend the first panel session, it's holding here, so you don't need to click on anything, just stay right here. But if you want to go to the second panel session, you would see panel session 2, that is the icon you should click. And if you want to go to the third panel session, you'll see panel session 3. That is the icon that you would click, and it will take you right to your panel session. I can see a number of people who haven't yet gone to a breakout session yet. So I'll just run through the procedure again. For those using a mobile device, on your device, you will see breakout room. If you click on it, it will take you to it will show you the different options for the panel session. So if you want to go to panel session 2 or you want to go to panel session 3, just click on either of it and it will take you there. However, if you want to stay here, for panel session 1, then you don't need to click on any icon. Okay, so beautiful. The numbers are dwindling fast. Okay, the numbers are dwindling fast. I see people are already taking steps to go to the different panel sessions. Please hurry up, because each session has 30 minutes. So in 30 minutes, you would be back here to discuss the things that you've learned in your breakout session. So please hurry up. Beautiful. I can see the numbers going fast. At first it was 200. Now I can see that it is 165, 64, 63, 62, 61. Beautiful, beautiful. So keep clicking. Remember that if you want to stay in panel session 1, you don't need to click on any icon. Just stay right here and you would have it. Okay, people, let's keep doing this. And I would go through the topics again. The first panel session, you would be discussing pandemic challenges, education quality and quantity gaps, and the way forward. Your moderator is Mrs. Yinka Owaiwu. And the second panel session, you would be discussing educating the total child in a digital age, competencies, challenges, and possibilities. Okay, your moderator is Mrs. Oyenike Adeleke. And for the third panel session, you would be discussing alternative education, learning spaces, education technology, and new methods of education. Your moderator is Mr. Jesse Damilari Adeshekun David. Beautiful. Beautiful. The breakout rooms will close in about 26 seconds. So if you're not in a breakout room already, you need to do that as fast as possible, I see that we have a total of 49 people in the second panel session, and a total of, okay, beautiful. In about 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, you would be in your session taking the breakout topics.